What goes up must eventually come down, and that's exactly what is happening. And that data tells a very clear story. The steel Rolex bubble isn't merely leaking, it's collapsing. Something shifted. It was proof you had made it, or that you had insider access to an elite network. Authorized dealers allegedly forced customers to buy diamond set date justs or precious metal day dates just to qualify for a steel sports model. While Rolex sold only through authorized dealers, an entire parallel economy flourished outside the official channels. A stainless steel Rolex on a wrist. Not gold, not diamond-encrusted. Plain steel. For decades it was a rugged tool, worn by divers, pilots and professionals who valued reliability over flash. Yet, by the early 2020s, this modest tool had mutated into something else entirely. An object of obsession, a speculative asset, a status signal so potent it distorted the entire luxury watch industry around its orbit. Getting one at retail felt like winning a lottery ticket. Waiting lists stretched into years. Forum posts whispered about secret allocations and shadowy grey market deals. Secondary prices soared so high that people traded cars for a watch. It was thrilling, absurd and, as we now know, unsustainable. But gravity is a funny thing. What goes up must eventually come down, and that's exactly what is happening. The hype machine that turned a $10,000 watch into a $30,000 asset is sputtering. Prices are slipping, watches are sitting unsold for months, and the power dynamics between buyers and dealers are shifting right before our eyes. This isn't rumour, this isn't a forum myth, this is data. Hard, credible data from independent market indices. The kind you'd expect from financial markets, not watches. And that data tells a very clear story. The steel Rolex bubble isn't merely leaking, it's collapsing. The human brain is drawn to scarcity. We instinctively value what seems hard to get. Rolex, whether by design or by constraint, mastered this principle. Stainless steel sports models like the Submariner, GMT Master II, and Daytona were once accessible professional tools. But as social media amplified images of them on the wrists of celebrities and influencers, something shifted. A stainless steel Daytona wasn't just a watch anymore. It was proof you had made it, or that you had insider access to an elite network. On Instagram, in watch forums, and on YouTube, people compared notes about allocation games and flipped watches for instant profits. Dealers built entire businesses on this frenzy. A steel Rolex became not just a timepiece but a tradable token, a portable store of value. For a while, it worked. The human brain, wired to chase rising assets, poured fuel on the fire. Every time someone flipped a watch for a profit, it reinforced the belief. These always go up. By 2022, the mania hit its climax. Pandemic lockdowns, government stimulus, and booming crypto portfolios left many buyers flush with cash. Experiences like travel were off the table. Luxury goods filled the void. Watches, particularly steel Rolexes, ticked every box. Small, portable, prestigious, and apparently appreciating faster than stocks. Waiting lists became urban legends. Authorized dealers allegedly forced customers to buy diamond set date justs or precious metal day dates just to qualify for a steel sports model. A new Submariner at retail was like a winning lottery ticket. You could flip it instantly for thousands more. Economists call this reflexive feedback. Each flip at a higher price signaled scarcity, which created more demand, which pushed prices higher, which signaled more scarcity. It's the same psychological loop that fueled tulip mania, dot-com stocks, and meme coins, just dressed up in Swiss steel. Authorized dealers became the high priests of the Rolex game. They controlled access, and access was everything. Lists were curated, relationships mattered, and purchase history counted more than cash. For the average buyer, getting a new steel Rolex felt like a privilege granted, not a transaction completed. This shifted the psychology from "I'm buying a watch" to "I'm being chosen." Meanwhile, grey market dealers began to look less like small-time resellers and more like hedge funds. They bought up allocations, flipped watches at premiums, and fed the narrative that these timepieces were investments. The grey market wasn't an accident. It was an ecosystem that emerged because scarcity created room for profit. What's remarkable is that the most coveted watches weren't the flashiest or the most expensive. They were the steel models, the supposedly entry-level pieces compared to gold or platinum. Why? Because steel Rolexes carried a different kind of prestige. They represented insider status. To wear a stainless steel Daytona or Submariner wasn't to flaunt wealth, but to signal that you had the connections to get one at all. This inversion of the usual luxury hierarchy, steel above gold, made the hype more potent. Buyers felt they were part of a secret society, that they knew something others didn't. In markets of status, insider knowledge is a currency more powerful than money. By 2020, the steel Rolex craze was no longer a Western fad. Dubai became a hub for resellers, Hong Kong for grey market exports, and even smaller markets like Singapore and Seoul experienced shortages. Wealthy buyers from the Middle East, China, and the US were competing in the same global pool. The internet had made the market borderless, but supply remained tightly capped. Prices soared worldwide, not just locally. This global dimension fed back into the narrative of inevitability. People thought, if everyone from New York to Hong Kong wants these watches, how can they ever go down? Like every bubble, it felt permanent until it wasn't. While Rolex sold only through authorized dealers, an entire parallel economy flourished outside the official channels. Grey dealers built networks of insiders who could secure pieces at retail, AD employees, preferred clients, or regional distributors. As soon as a steel model landed, it was listed online at a markup, often 50 to 200% over retail. Big dealers stockpiled hundreds of pieces in vaults, treating watches like inventory for arbitrage. This wasn't a handful of small players. By 2021, major grey dealers in Dubai, Hong Kong, London, and Miami were running multi-million-dollar operations. Some pooled resources like investment syndicates. The psychology of buyers shifted too. Customers weren't shopping for a watch, they were hunting for a trade. That meant every price jump validated the system. Every sale at a markup reinforced the belief that the next buyer would pay more. In 2020, Chronopulse, a watch market analytics platform, launched a luxury sports watch index tracking over 100 models, weighted by transaction volume. By late 2021, this index had become the go-to number for dealers, journalists, and even collectors. In March 2022, the index showed steel Rolex sports models up 178% from their 2019 prices. The Daytona 116500 LN Black Dial peaked at $48,000, the GMT Master II Pepsi $33,000. Watches that once took 6 to 12 weeks to resell were moving in 6 to 12 hours. Chronopulse's charts looked eerily like cryptographs from 2021, smooth upward curves with sudden spikes on release days. For dealers, it became both a scoreboard and a marketing tool. Buy now, the index is going up, they'd say, and it worked. Just as prices once fed hype, falling prices now fed fear. Buyers hesitated, waiting for the bottom. Dealers offered discounts quietly to move stock, which leaked onto forums. Waitlists began to shorten, and some models reappeared in display cases. Psychologically, the magic had broken. In a bull market, every purchase feels like a win. In a cooling market, every purchase feels like a mistake. What happens next isn't a crash into oblivion. It's a normalization. The speculative era is ending. The collector era is beginning again. Rolex remains the benchmark brand, but the free money days are gone. For buyers, that's good news. For dealers, it's an adjustment. For Rolex itself, it's a return to the brand's roots. Timeless design, steady desirability, and watches bought to be worn.